welcome back Trish to sing. Yay!
So when Reverend Maryum said, let's talk about our spiritual journeys, I thought about that for a little bit, and the first song that just popped into my head, I thought, you know, this song has guided me, well, since I first heard it, literally, when I was probably 12 or 13 years old. So I wanted to share it with you, and you will know this song. I didn't mean it that way. And you'll like it too.
That was good.
We'll start over.
There's a whole lot going on behind you.
It's sort of scary. You'll Never Walk Alone is the name of the song. When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm is a golden sky and the sweet silver song of the lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blown. Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm is a golden sky and the sweet silver song of the lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blown. Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone. You'll never And that has guided me a lot.
I bet. Well, you might as well stay up there.
I'm just
because,
Should
you're
I
gonna
talk
be
in here?
first, and either one. You know, if you want to talk in the other one, yes. Let's turn that back on. And what Trish and I are doing today, she's going to take the first half. I'll do the second half, and we thought it would be fun.
I don't know what time we're supposed to be out of here, but the clock is moving. It always moves.
It always moves. It always moves fast. That's all I'm saying.
So,
Take your time.
pardon?
Take your time.
Take my time. Well, I will
Yes.
take some time, yes. So what I wanted to be a problem. Okay. Oh, now it's on. I can hear that. So, just quickly, one's spiritual journey. It's a big topic. I think, at this point we all look at it and say, wasn't it supposed to be different? But here we are, wherever we are, and our spiritual journey has been our life, because really our life is our spiritual journey. The whole darn thing of it. The good of it, the bad of it, the when we forget of it. And one of the things that I think is archetypal is we always seem to have to leave home, be it our spiritual own self, our understanding of ourself. We have to leave home, we have to go out searching into the big cold world where things happen, and things are happening all the time to us and to everybody around us. And then sometime, somehow, we are able to kind of settle into the fact that this is the journey, and eventually, in some way, come back home. And that is the archetypal journey, and that has been my journey. And just briefly, I had a fairly enchanted young childhood. I loved the outdoors. I spent every waking minute outside. I felt a oneness there, and I still do. And that, I'll tell you, nature is one of the things that guides me and teaches me each and every day. When I get whacked out and I go, oh my God, everything's falling in, I don't know what to do. This isn't supposed to be happening. They weren't supposed to get sick. They weren't supposed to die. Hurricanes aren't supposed to happen. Well, they do. And I look out at nature and I go, oh yeah, all those things happen. It's always a cycle. Cycling. And it helps me always to remember when I get scared, when I get worried, I just step out the door, I look around me, and there are things in all parts of the cycle, out the door every time. So I see things being born, I see things flourishing and blooming, and I see things dying. And it is just the cycle of life, and it is just the cycle of our journeys, and it is the cycle of what we are all part of. And so I would say that for me, I came in with just this love of nature, thank you God. It has served me well. As a matter of fact, most of my career was as an environmental educator, a science educator. I worked with kids, I worked with teachers, teaching them how to work with kids about nature. That was my work. Until suddenly it wasn't my work anymore, and all of a sudden I wanted to do sort of more inner spiritual work. And so I ended up in psychology and expressive arts therapy. Again, the creativity coming through, and I always weave our nature in. It always has to be there. But I think there were a couple of turning points. One was I came in with this, I love nature and I feel so at home. And at the same time, from the time I was 3 until I was 6½, my father was dying. And it was in the 50s. It was in the early 50s. And we didn't talk about it. So I was a little child going, oh, I love the world. And at home, I'd go, something's really wrong, and I don't know what it is. So there's a part of me that was ready to be open and positive, but in those formative years, it was also hardwired into me. And I think I probably came in this way too, to worry, and I have a huge radar. What's wrong? Something's wrong. And so I struggle with that even to this day. There's a part of me that knows that God's plan is unfolding always in my life, in everyone's life, but there's always this underlying other thing that I'm struggling with all the time, and it's, I think, was hardwired in way back then. And, you know, he died, and it was like, whoa, this isn't supposed to happen. You know, now I got no dad. Everybody's got a dad. I don't have a dad. So there is a lot of angst in my early life. And still, it's just amazing when I look back over the years, there's been just so much grace in my life. And I'm able to really see that and recognize it in a really It helps me when I get down, worried, scared. And even though I've done a ton of work, I still get scared, worried, and depressed. I just do. So I guess well, let me just jump to an end point here. I've done a lot of personal work, and in the midst of all of that, well, let me just go to the middle of the story. So I've had a pretty good life, and I'm always searching, I'm always recognizing Spirit in my life, and that has been a saving grace also. Just like the song says, walk on with hope in your heart, because you'll never walk alone, and I truly have always believed that. It just feels real and right to me. So even when the storm is swirling, and there have been many storms, I really know that there is always this, there is going to be a golden sky when all of this settles down, and there always has been. So that faith keeps me going when things are rocky. I found this church, this center, I always call it a church. I call these kind of places churches. Oh, one other thing. My grandmother, in the midst of all this dying that was going on when I was a youngster, my grandmother, my father's mother, I don't know, she was way ahead of her time. She was a unity person in the 50s, and she was also very aware of religious science at that time, and we had a daily word in our house from the time I was a child, which I think is another saving grace. And we never went to a Unity church. I don't even know if there was a Unity church in Cincinnati, Ohio. I think there probably was, but we didn't go. We went outside on Sunday a lot. We went to the park. But my grandmother was a big influence. And so it's fun if you have it's fun to think, who influenced me, each one of you, who was it, who made these influences? And sometimes there was a park ranger at the park on a Sunday when we'd go, and he was a naturalist, and he would go, wow, look at how this tree does this, and look at these nuts, and da-da-da-da, this is what this is called, and that was a big influence on me. So a park ranger that didn't even know who I was, he influenced my life in really a spiritual way. So all of this is going on, I'm having life, and my mom, who didn't remarry until I was 30, and then I moved away and really I got to see her some, but she wasn't in my life as much. But my mother, because it was, a one-parent child, my mother meant a lot to me, and we were best of friends, and we would talk all the time on the phone. In the end of her life, her husband had died. We moved her here to Santa Barbara, where my brother lives. And I moved from Flagstaff, where I'd lived for 25 years, to come here to be with the family in her last years. And I knew it was going to just be really hard to lose my mom. I was terrified. Tissue?
Right at your feet.
Right at your feet. I knew you was gonna need it.
We're ready for you.
So, thank you. So, when I got here, I wasn't here but probably 2 weeks, and somebody said, I guess it was probably my brother or my sister-in-law or something, there's this center that has this kind of wild and wacky woman. She wears big dresses, a lot of music, and you might want to just go check that out because you're in for a rough time, and you need something. And so I came here, and that week, I came on a Sunday, somebody talked to me, they were starting practitioner classes that week.
Wow.
And I showed up on a Thursday night and started. And it was these classes which just kind of gave me language for the foundation that I already had. It wasn't anything really truly new to me, and I don't think it's truly new to any of you. It's like God is in everything, and I think we all know that and feel it and deeply embody that, really, but we forget. And these classes helped me solidify a foundation so I could say, I am going to be walking through a storm, and it is going to be hard. There were times I slept at the foot of my mom's bed for like 6 weeks on end because she had dementia, It was hard. It was hard. She was on hospice care for a year and a half. So I found this practice, learning how to do affirmative prayer, knowing the truth even when the truth doesn't look like it, it got me through a really hard time. And I'm so grateful for this teaching. I don't know, I don't know if you're looking for something, at least read the books. Because there's something about just knowing the truth that God is ever present, Spirit is unfolding in every moment, and we're all in that and as that, and we're vehicles for that. It's huge. So I'd say then from there, and then, I'm still wacky, of course I am, and I'm still worried, and I still cry, but I get myself out of it a whole lot faster now that I know the sort of foundational words to kind of comfort me. There's another book I want to just mention to you. It was helpful to me. I mean, there are many books, but one that really stands out is one that I read 2 years ago called The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And there was a little parable in there that just spoke to me so direct. And it was about, and it was 2 years ago that I read this book, so I might be getting things all mixed around in my brain, but this is the way I remember it. He talked about we all have trauma and we all have wounds, all of us. I mean, it doesn't matter if you lost a parent as a child, things happen to every single one of us has a wound, has some kind of trauma generally in their lives. And he talks about how when we have trauma or a wound, we'll tend to, because we don't know any way other to do this, we will start to protect that wound. And he said something like this. He said, think about if you had a thorn in your arm, a big one deep in, and it was in there, and every time anybody touched it or brushed against anything, it would really hurt. And he said, so what you do is you start learning how to get through life, like not letting anybody touch that wound, that thorn. You would possibly even have to build an apparatus for nighttime when you might accidentally roll over on it to like protect it. So you build this thing, you like wear this thing, and you like get all set, and this is how you will live your life, protecting that wound, that thorn. He said, wouldn't it just be a whole lot easier to take the damn thorn out of your arm? And it was like, well, duh, I guess that's true. And so I thought about that for my own, because this trauma of my childhood, I know it colors everything. And I thought, I've had a really great life, even though I didn't have a dad. I'm okay. I've always been okay. So I was able to start letting that story that was so there's a groove in my brain. And I wasn't thinking, oh, I'm so sad because I didn't have a dad. That's not, I forgot all about that part of it. Things would hurt me or upset me, or I would be worried. Really, the worried part is the part that was affecting my life. I was just a worried person. And so I thought, wow, there's a good idea. Try to really honestly, get the hell that thing out of me. And the other piece of it that he suggested that really, I mean, there's a million books that all say this, but it never registered until a couple of years ago, is let things just be as they are. Quit trying to change everything and make it the way you want it to be. Try to accept what's unfolding in front of you. If you can change it, great. If you need to change it, do your best. But then don't fight it and get fussy about it. And I'm a control person because I'm a worried person. Worried people often are controlling people. And it's no fun to go through life controlling, and it's certainly no fun for like the husband. And gosh, he was like, so, I mean, I'm honest about it. I mean, it's not fun to be around a controlling person, and I was being. So those two things have been very helpful to me. Just try to get off the story and try to whatever it is, let it just be that way and don't fight with it all the time. So those are the two things I'm working with now. And I just got back from Esalen, lucky me. My brother was teaching there this week, and he took me along. And I was just going to kind of hang out in this beautiful place. But he was teaching Qigong and Tai Chi. And for years, I mean, he's been doing this for 40 years. You know, he would say, this would be a good practice for you. And so down. I go, yeah, right. He was my brother. I didn't want to listen to him. I decided to go to a couple of his classes. I ended up going to every single class, including the 7 a.m. practice where we were teaching each other. I mean, we'd go to the night, we'd start in the morning, and it was fabulous. And I am making a commitment. I'm going to do it publicly. I am going to start a practice. And it doesn't have to be Qigong, but for me, I'm not good at sitting quietly. So moving really works for me. And after the week, I could really tell my body and my nervous system was very different. So I'm excited about it. So for me, the spiritual journey continues. And I think that's all I have to say.
That was great, and a good segue, actually. I was looking up, because I always look at Roxy's e-light. Anybody else look at e-light besides me? All right. Awesome. Anyway, so I was pulling up spiritual quotes. And the one that I really like, let me see if I can find this one. It's the one by Ram Dass. And he says, well, this one's cool, but he says, oh, here's from, no, that's not it, that's not it, that's not it. Oh, here it is, I love this one. I think a spiritual journey is not so much a journey of discovery, it's a journey of recovery, which is what you were talking about. It's a journey of uncovering your own inner nature. It's already there. Isn't that the truth? Yeah. And there was one other, and I just want to find it. It'll show up. Oh, and looks like this is from the Buddha. Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks inside awakens. Isn't that beautiful? Well, you know, we were talking, Trish and I were talking, I don't know, it was a couple months ago, we were both having a really hard time. And so we're going, blah, 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 to each other, and it was great because then we prayed for each other, we got off the phone, and we both felt like we could move forward. And the difference about, you know, the spiritual journey is that when you're awake and you're aware, you're more apt to be able to navigate through it. So recently, I had a really hard time. I was even calling Roxy and crying and praying and just going crazy. And, you'll be okay, Rev. You can be okay. No, I'm not. I lost my mojo. I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm going crazy here. And then I sat down and finally I go, oh, I got to talk to Art. I got to tell him I'm just not worthy anymore. I'm just no good, and I just don't have it anymore. I don't have the joy de vivre. I don't have what it takes, because I used to say, and I'm embarrassed by this, but I'm not embarrassed by this. I used to say, I don't understand those people that they can't make money. I just don't get it. I know how to do that, and just very into my, I'm going to call my ego self. And then once it started happening to me, where things started drying up and things started going to garbage, then I thought, wow, you know what, you need a little humility, girlfriend, because then I started to understand and have compassion for the people that were struggling on their spiritual path. And then I finally said, well, this is all fine and dandy and I can be a victim, and I'm crying and moaning, and then I'm talking to Art, no, I gotta tell you something because this is so bad and I'm so embarrassed. And then I walked out my tail between my legs as I was walking out of his house. He doesn't even know this. I felt like a total freaking failure. And so after that, I finally said, you know what, if I'm supposed to continue on, then God, you need to take care of me, man. Because I said, I am done. Jesus, Buddha, God, I don't care who it is. Damn it, I need some help. I need some help. Because I am now, I don't know what to do. entrepreneur and do what I'm supposed to do? Damn it all, help me out. And I really, really got clear and emotional about it because that was what I needed at the time. So it's interesting, after that declaration, you know, I think Art called me the next day when I was really down, really depressed. He gave me some solutions on like, whew, okay, that was good. And then from that point, I know, right? And it's always like whenever we are in a place in our life that we need to have a shift, please go talk to somebody. Please go share your story with somebody who's going to love you and accept you. And just listen to you. Because in that listening, there is so much power, there's a healing, and there's a blessing. Well, that following Sunday, we had a woman show up, and I knew that she was coming, but I forgot about it. And she's a gal that is a master in the Tao, and she's going to come and do some teachings here. Then I had this beautiful couple show up on Monday, and we got all excited because we're going to do some more teachings, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But what I realized is that, you know, Spirit was starting to bring me everything I needed in order to know that I was in the right place. Have you ever been in that space where you're so down that you need to have that I don't know, that here, just show me a sign. And I started getting signs all over the place. And it was not just here, it was in my personal life. My dear friend, Miss Margaret, she came over, and I was so tired from doing all this stuff. I had done work and work and work, and I couldn't rest. And finally, Miss Margaret says to me, you know, Maryum, you know, there's this great modality that you can learn and teach, because I'm a personal trainer. And I said, oh, that sounds awesome. And it resonated to me. And it's teaching people how to balance. Because as we age, we lose our balance. So it's that modality. She says, and you know, it's at Cal State Fullerton. So as you're in your life, there's these mystical things that happen. So I'm driving up, and I'm thinking, gosh, that would really be a cool class to take. A car with a license plate holder, Cal State Fullerton, drives by me. Okay, in Ventura. Now you can say, oh, that's lots of people go to Cal State Fullerton. I don't think so, okay? It's that we know that every time that we ask for guidance and we ask for a way to help us navigate the spiritual journey, then we always get what we need. We always get the love. We always get the support. We always get it. Have any of you ever been let down? Really? Have any of you? Okay, have you been let down?
Yeah.
You have? Okay, Pam's going, yes, I have. Okay, well, maybe you have, but you navigate through it, don't you? The spiritual journey is like a maze, and you're in a maze, and you're going one way, and then you go, oh, damn, that's blocked, and then you go another way, that's blocked, and then you go another way, that's blocked, but then eventually you find your way to the middle where the treasure is, which is you. You are the treasure, you are the light, you are the one that you have been seeking. And so in that quote where it talks about getting quiet and still, it talks about allowing yourself to trust your own wisdom, your own guidance. And as we do that, and maybe I was making a demand on God, but that's okay, because I have trust and faith that God is there and that support is there. And sometimes we have to shake ourselves out of our depression. We have to shake ourselves out of that and take that thorn, as you were saying, out of my arm. And there's an old piece, and I didn't even know it was there, and I don't even remember what triggered it, but I called Roxy, and I'm not worthy, blah, you know, doing all that stuff, and that's old programming. And so once that's revealed, as we're in a class, as we're in practitioner training, as we're in life, you're going to have these things bubble up, and you get to look at it and let it go. And then it's going to bubble up again, and you get to let it go again. And it's going to bubble up again, and you get to let it go again. And it's a constant practice. You're never done. So when somebody says to me, I'm done, I have everything I need, I go, so you must be dead. I'm so glad that you came back as a ghost. Because the thing is, we are never done. We are always seeking, we are always learning, we are always having beautiful individuals and circumstances come into our life. We are always open to receive whatever it is. And if we get shifted to another way on our path, just bless it and run. Don't just walk down that path, because if God's revealing it to you and you've been guided there, you go. Because if you continue to stay in a space where it's resistance and you're not getting a sign that it's going to shift, and you're not getting a sign that it's going to be better for you, then you know what? Surrender, let it go, and learn the new modality. Be with new people. Do what you have to do, because that's the spiritual journey. Isn't that the truth? And it's so beautiful. So I just wanted to share that piece, because as we are on our spiritual journey, as we're on the path, just know that there's going to be the ups and downs, there's going to be the roadblocks, there's going to be things that we have to move through in order to step into a higher level of love with ourselves. The reason why I changed the blessing ourselves, we all need more love. We all need more self-acceptance. We all need more healing, because we've all pulled maybe 10 thorns out of ourselves, and we need to put the salve on. And if it's here at the service every Sunday that we do that, you get that little energetic healing, and it is a healing, because where two or more are gathered, we are healed. And if you showed up today, there was a reason why your soul had you come today. And it's because you were being guided to be filled, to have your heart be filled, to be nurtured, to be loved, to be adored, and you are. So know that for yourself. Know that you are the beloved. You are amazing, you are miraculous, and you are unique and special. So with that, let's just close with an affirmation for ourselves. And we're going to say this, so repeat after me. I love who I am.
I love who I am.
I cherish my unique gifts.
I cherish my unique gifts.
I encourage myself even when I don't feel like it.
I encourage myself even when I don't feel like it.
I am the light, and I shine it every day.
I am the light, and I shine it every day.
And so it is.
So it is.
All right, thank you, beloved. Now with that, we are going to do, a peppy song from the guys. A peppy song. I don't know what they picked. Let's be surprised.
Let's sing this together, George.
Yeah, I like it.
Don't hold the pen.
Yeah.
Now, this is a chance for you guys to get up and shake your bodies and feel that spirit in you.
Yeah.